Hey guys, my name is Chrissy, and this is my blog number 9, I think, for philosophy. This week we had one reading. It was Nature and Significance of Play as a Cultural Phenomenon. So the reading focused on aspects of culture and how play, feeds into it. Within culture, there's rules that you live by, but they're not necessarily said. Like they gave the example of when dogs play. They know that, there's kind of limits to what they can do. Like if they go for the ear, they know not to bite very hard. And even though they may get really rambunctious and aggressive, it's part of play. Usually it's not that they're really, upset with each other. There's play is always around. I'm trying to come up with there was a couple quotes that I thought were really, really good to explain it. There was one, the incidence of play is not associated with any particular stage of civilization or view of the universe, and play cannot be denied. You can deny nearly all abstractions like justice, beauty, truth, goodness, mind, God, but you can't deny serious, and you can deny serious, but not play. So, play as I don't know how to say it. Huizinga. He says it's irrational. That in culture we find play as a given magnitude existing before culture itself existed, accompanying it and pervading it from the earliest beginnings right up to the phase of civilization we are now living in. So there were aspects of play that, kind of make up the culture. And, there's so much within culture that play is just kind of inevitable. So, the way I kind of looked at it in, relation to deaf studies and sign language, play is an integral part of sign language, given that maybe it's not looked at as play, but sign language embodies acting, which is a form of play. It's, a gestural language, which is fun to watch. There's all, little subcultures of play in there. And, even though it's considered a language, it's an expressive and gestural and just a fun, if you don't know a word, you don't just finger spell it, which is just like the ABCs, where you just spell it out. You try to get the person that you're talking to understand what you're saying by acting and setting up the scene. It's a beautiful language, and you can incorporate so many descriptions and so many different aspects into it, and that's looked at as a form of play. So Huizinga, I think that's how you say it, said the main characteristic of play is that it's free and in fact freedom. The second characteristic is closely connected with this, and that play is not ordinary or real life. It is rather a stepping out of real life into a temporary sphere of activity with a disposition of its own. So this, you're stepping out. If you don't know a sign, you're kind of stepping out of the language and finding another way of getting, your point across. So you're going to, look like an idiot. You're going to, go jump around, go dance, go, act it out, set up the scene, and then become a player within it and, act out everything. So, it's, it's an enjoyment. And, it is free. Like, there's no restrictions as to how you need to do this, how you need to get this point across. For, the students, the ASL students, as we, progress through the major, we start off like, you want me to act out what? And instead, we'll fingerspell. But when you kind of like immerse yourself within the deaf culture and you really get to talking to people, they don't want to see your fingerspelling. They want to see you kind of immerse yourself in the culture and try to explain through, acting, gestures, all of that. So I think that's kind of the main focus for this week. I think that, when you think of ASL, it's not, it's an abstract language. You don't have necessarily restrictions to it. It's a form of play because you have that freedom to do, kind of whatever you want. So I think that's it for this week. See you next week.